Okay, I begin as always in the name of Jesus. This video is going to be a review of The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 11, Claimed. Okay, so we have two groups we're focusing on. Abraham Ford, Eugene Porter, Rosita Espinosa, and Glenn and Tara, and we also have Rick, Michonne, and Carl. So let me just start with Glenn. Okay, so Glenn's still unconscious, and Abraham Ford just kills off a few of the walkers at the moment, and he tells Tara to get onto the back of the military truck and to go with them. So we go to the opening credits and we go back there, and then this is amazing. We have Carl is eating breakfast with Michonne, and it's amazing. They start talking about milk and things like that, and then it gets to the fact where Carl mentions Judith, and then he's still grieving from Judith's death. From Judith, he still thinks Judith is dead, so he is still sad. He is still saddened at that, and he just goes off. So I really like the little chit chat between Carl and Michonne. It was very good. So, anyways, they decided to go on a supply run, and they decide to go on. And they insist that Rick decide to stay back in the house to recover from his wounds. So they go off, and then Michonne's trying to have a little comedy routine, and she just gives off, and she tries to make Carl laugh, and it saddens her, and Carl's still a little sad from thinking that Judith is dead, and also. And then Michonne opens up and then just says that she had a 3-year-old son, and then that makes Carl, as they're going into a house, go off asking a lot of questions. And Michonne says that she's going to answer all the questions as they go from one room to another, one room at a time. So, by the way, by the time they get to one room, they realize it's just. By the time they get to one room, after finish one room, she admits that the name of her 3-year-old child is Andre, and that she lost him probably at the start of the apocalypse. So, good stuff. So at the beginning of the apocalypse, and we go back to Rick, and Rick realizes that there are some people who have entered the house. And one of them gets killed, and the other one, and then Rick decides to go outside of hide under the bed so they won't find him. So, and then there are two guys enter the room he's in, and one of the guys, they decide to sleep in the room that he's in. Sleep inside the room that he's in. So, and then all of a sudden, and afterwards, one of the guys tell the other guy sleeping in Rick's room to wake up and go and help him out. And then soon, before you know, these two people are fighting. One of them falls down. He sees Rick, but before he can alert him, he is dead. So, and just so you know, I'll just have to finish the majority of this before I get back. Before I go off to Abraham. Talk about Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. And so Rick decides to hide in another room. He grabs one of the trophies to hit one of them, and then he sees one of them going down the stairs. Another one of them they decide to go back up also, and he's trying to go break open the windows, but it's impossible. So he goes into one of the bathrooms, closes the door, and then he sees one of the guys in the toilet. He attacks, and from the looks, Rick deduces that the guys in the house were not friendly people, were very dangerous people. So Rick decides to attack maybe one of them. I don't know. Maybe the guy, whatever the case is, Rick decides to attack one of them. He strangles him, and kills him in the end. So this is like Rick's fifth kill ever. So also Michonne. Also, I need to go back finish up the Michonne thing too. Michonne thing. I'm and then Michonne and Michonne goes into a room room full of pink, and she sees a dead girl, dead children in there, and it just makes her sad, and just reminds her of the child she lost, of the little 3-year-old she lost before all the at the start of the world going it down the crapper. So Michelle Carl questions her about it, and she just doesn't want to talk about it. So very much like Carl didn't want to talk about Judith when Michonne probed him. So that's pretty. I'll go back to finish up the end of that segment soon. So let's get back to Let's go back to Glenn. Glenn wakes up as they're riding on the back of a truck, and they go, and Glenn asks them to stop, and then it takes them a while, but they do, and then Abraham says, that they are on a mission to Washington, and he introduces himself to Glenn, and then Glenn is like, I need to go find Maggie, and then Abraham's like, your wife is dead. So, and then I was like, he's gonna punch Abraham, and then it happens. Glenn punches Abraham, and then there's a huge brawl between him and Glenn. And while that's happening, Eugene is seeing walkers come out of the woods, and there are walkers come out of the cornfields, and he grabs a machine gun, and then he fires at them horribly, and it alerts both Rosita, Tara, and Glenn to their appearance. And then what proceeds next is an amazing walker kill where they are killing off walkers to no end. Awesome sequence. So, and then we go back to Rick. And oh, by the way, Rick, he has a gun. He has a machine gun with him, which the guy he strangled had. He goes down the roof. He drops down. He hides where one of the guys is on the fence. He on the porch, and he's just doing his own thing, and he's about to kill that guy when all of a sudden he sees that one of the guys hears probably one of his men, the guy that Rick strangled. He left him without giving him a headshot or damaging the brain, so the guy reanimates, and it causes that guy outside to go inside and help. And then there's a gunshot. So he sees Carl and Michonne. He tells them to leave, that they need to leave. So let's go back to Glenn and Abraham's gang. So after that little fiasco with the walkers, they decide to. Glenn says he is going to go to find Maggie regardless. So, and Rosita is following Glenn and Tara. So, and Eugene says to Abraham they need to go with them because north, where they were going, is a lot more complicated. And then Eugene says he's smarter than Abraham, which I thought was pretty funny. So they go with them. And they say, Tara says, I don't know you, just like you don't know me, and that's really good stuff. So, and then the last thing we see is that Rick, Carl, and Michonne are heading down a railroad track, and they see a sign on the train which says sanctuary. All those who arrive survive. So it's only a matter of time before we see before Rick, Carl, and Michonne run into the rest of the group. Rick run into Tyrese, Carol, and Lizzie and Micah, and all of them. So this is an amazing episode. A new event, new developments, a new plot, new and great events are being developed. New developments, lots of places where they're going. Awesome stuff. I have to give this thing a 9 out of 10. Can't wait for the next episode.